APP/C. Is love failing in silence? The secret LaFleur meeting that could destroy the Green Bay Packers today. APP/C. Is love failing in silence? The secret LaFleur meeting that could destroy the Green Bay Packers today. And you are one of the few who knows what really happened in the Lambeau Field locker room last night. This content won't appear for everyone. If it reached you, it's because you are part of the minority who finds out first. This is, without a doubt, the hottest, most explosive, and most closely guarded information to leak from the Green Bay Packers' inner circles in years. The shadow of number 12, the legend of Aaron Rodgers, is much larger, more oppressive, and more cruel than any analyst dared to predict. And what is coming is not just sports news. It is the confession of a strategic error that will define the next decade of the NFL. The decision was made behind closed doors in a sepulchral silence with only 3 people in the room. And paradoxically, it involves a name everyone thought was left behind, but who continues to control the destiny of the franchise from afar. The urgency is real. What you are about to hear could be denied at any moment by the public relations team, but the truth is undeniable. Pay attention to every word. Imagine trusting your quarterback dynasty as an unwavering lighthouse of security amid the chaos, unpredictability, and savagery that is the National Football League. And suddenly, in the middle of a storm, discovering that the lighthouse has already gone dark. The Green Bay Packers have always been different. They don't find quarterbacks, they inherit legends. The sacred mantle, the number beneath the helmet, was passed down almost mystically, from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. A transition that seemed straight out of a fairy tale, the single success story in the modern history of the sport. But the new era, the transition to Jordan Love, is an abyss of uncertainties, a journey through the desert without a map. The emotional consequence is devastating. The Green Bay fan doesn't know whether to cheer, pray, or simply mourn the loss. Since Rodgers' tumultuous departure for New York, the success rate on third downs, the pulse of an offense, has plummeted by a brutal 45%. The team is not just losing, the team is sinking. And that is exactly what happened in the first half of the season. An unguided dive, a tactical and spiritual implosion. The ambient sound, cheers turn to murmurs. The referee's whistle sounds like a groan of frustration. The rain falls on Lambeau Field like tears. Slow motion camera on his face, an empty gaze. Love knew the pressure was unfair, that the plan was flawed, but the weight of the Favre and Rodgers history is and always will be relentless. The Cheeseheads' revolt is a raging fire. On social media, the hashtag #BringBack12 has already surpassed 400,000 mentions in less than 72 hours. The notoriously patient fanbase has exploded in fury. But the worst is not the internet noise. The worst came from the cold, sacred corridors of Lambeau Field. An anonymous leak, a top-ranking source who has worked in the locker room for over 20 decades, revealed to a major U.S. sports media outlet. They still watch Rodgers' tapes in the QB's meeting room. It's not to learn from the past. It's to mourn the present. The tension is palpable, cutting. This is not a fabricated internet rumor. It is social proof, a confession that the internal team has not overcome the divorce with the legendary quarterback. The crisis is hierarchical and horizontal. And there's more. 2 defensive leaders of the team, pillars of the franchise, requested an emergency meeting off the record with General Manager Brian Gutekunst. They are questioning the direction of the offense, Love's motivation, and head coach Matt LaFleur. Imaginary print. Look at the captain's tweet, a simple question mark, but it speaks volumes of frustration and despair. The impact of the frustration is global. Over 300,000 fans have already signed the online petition asking not just for more time for Love, but for a total restructuring of the management, starting with the immediate dismissal of Gutekunst. The revolt is taking to the streets of Green Bay, turning the quiet city into a stage for passionate protests and despair. The drama is collective, and the social proof is overwhelming. The coldness of the statistics turns into a sentence, a technical guillotine for Jordan Love. Look at the brutal comparison, the verdict. Aaron Rodgers in his last full year as the Packers starter, 4,200 yards, 37 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. Now Love in his first 8 games as a starter, 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns, and a shocking 9 interceptions. Does this look like a spreadsheet? No, it's history being written with the ink of failure and bitterness. The difference is gigantic. It's like comparing the precision and majesty of Mount Everest to a sinking sandhill. The fall is painful. And the worst of all, the Green Bay Packers are the only team in the NFC North that is sinking every week, unable to convert crucial opportunities in the red zone. This is not bad luck, not a passing slump or injuries. This is a structural collapse, a planning failure that came from the top of the organization. If this were a dramatic Hollywood movie, the director would make an immediate cut to Coach Matt LaFleur, hunched over in his dark office, crying silently in the locker room, feeling the historical weight of having been the coach who oversaw the decline. Imaginary cut, a graph falling in free fall, along with the camera that shakes and focuses on Love's pale face. The narrative consequence is undeniable. Green Bay, the proud title town, is heading for a season of negative records, something absolutely unthinkable in the modern era, post-Favre and Rodgers. But the worst had yet to happen. Micro cliffhanger. But what if I told you that General Manager Brian Gutekunst has already drilled a tactical formation that does not depend on the quarterback? Insider sources, an insider who has worked at the Packers training camp for 20 years, guarantees. The change is not an emergency tactic for one game. It's a long, very long-term plan. The daring hypothesis, the most shocking one, is that Green Bay is preparing to become the most run-heavy team in the league in years, admitting the fundamental strategic error in choosing Love. And the name no one is talking about, the player being prepared in the dark? The forgotten running back who is dominating practices and whose potential has been totally underestimated by the public. The hidden clue, the detail that reveals the conspiracy, is this. The quarterback's coach, who was Jordan Love's biggest defender and enthusiast, was seen at an airport with the coach of a rival team days before the NFL trade deadline. What no one has noticed yet. Look at the play at 2:14 of the last game. That's when Jordan Love looked to the sideline seeking guidance and Matt LaFleur simply turned his face away. Communication was definitively broken. And there's more. There's an almost imperceptible detail on Love's uniform, a tiny sticker that was mysteriously removed after that game. And it represents Aaron Rodgers' old optimism slogan. Does this seem like a coincidence? It's not. Someone's hand is behind every detail. If you skip this moment, I guarantee you will regret it for the rest of the season. The revelation is an earthquake, the wow moment that will make you share this video immediately. And that's when the general manager, Gutekunst, in a moment of pure fragility and confession, whispered to one of the team owners during the tailgate on a cold, rainy night at Lambeau, "We made a historical mistake, and the only way to correct it is by sacrificing the season and the kid." The image is extremely powerful. The GM, who bet all his credibility, his career, and his legacy on Jordan Love, admitting the absolute failure of his project. The main broadcast camera didn't catch it, but a lavalier microphone left behind by a reporter in the pregame briefing room before it was turned off caught everything. It wasn't just a random podcast theory. It is a real recording, and it leaked not to the general public, but to the ultra-secret circle of the franchise's minority owners. The unexpected twist? The sacrifice is not just about the current season. It's about using Love's resounding failure to secure the first overall pick in next year's draft and selecting the dream quarterback, the prospect who is dominating college football, reformatting the franchise from scratch. Love is a tactical sacrifice for Green Bay's future. Pause here, breathe, because what comes next changes everything. The plan is to sell Jordan Love, trade him to a desperate team before the end of the current season, maximizing the player's value before failure completely destroys him. The plan is in motion. And now I ask you, is Jordan Love the perfect scapegoat, the pawn sacrificed by an incompetent management? Or is he just the victim of